In today's video, I'm going to be talking to you about how starting my t-shirt business was the best idea I ever had and how I was able to turn my initial $500 investment into my own house. All right, so for this discussion, we are gonna have to be a bit more comfortable. So let's just go ahead and go on inside. The very first thing that I wanna cover today is gonna be the fact that I want you all to know that this video is not in any way, shape, or form meant to be a flex. I don't like showing things off. I don't like telling people, look, I was able to buy this because I worked this hard. That's not my thing. That's not what I enjoy doing. What I want this video to be is a source of inspiration to any one of you that's actually looking to start their own business, whether it be a print-on-demand business, your t-shirt business, a heat press business, whatever it is. Anything that you wanna start and you have a passion for, something that you really like, do it. I want this video to serve as that inspiration. So let's go ahead and get started right from the beginning. My initial investment to this entire house, I guess you can say, was $500. At the time, I decided, you know what? I'm finally gonna start my t-shirt business. It's something that I've been wanting to do for the past 10 years, maybe. I've always liked t-shirts. I've always walked through the store, looked at t-shirts and thought, I can make something like this. I can make a pretty cool one with a Pokemon on it. Spoiler alert, don't do that. I don't make any Pokemon shirts and stuff like that anymore because my Etsy store got banned. But that's a totally different story. Point is, growing up, I always looked at t-shirts and thought, I can do something like this. I think this is really cool. I like t-shirts. So I decided quite a few times to start a t-shirt business and I kept failing. I never continued with it. I never did further research into it. I got stuck at one point and I just gave up. This happened for a good 5 to 6 years until one day I finally decided, you know what? I'm gonna do this. I need to do this. And the reason for this is because COVID had just started and my job was requiring me to go into work. At the time, my grandfather was sick and I was very scared to potentially catch COVID, get sick in any way, shape, or form, go see him, and then, ultimately pass it on to him, which would have been detrimental. Quick note, spoiler alert. Throughout this video, my grandfather is a pretty heavy influence in pretty much everything that I'm going to be talking about and ultimately buying my house. So I might get a bit emotional sometimes because I already kind of start to feel the tingliness right behind my eyes. So yeah, just so you know, there might be a little bit of waterworks. My job was requiring me to go back into work. And that's kind of when I realized they don't really care about us like that, If I get fired, it is what it is. They're just gonna find somebody else. Because really, when I told them I don't really want to go into work, I don't feel comfortable because of these different reasons, they're like, yeah.
Well, you need to come in.
I was like, well, you know what? It is what it is. I don't really have a choice, right? I need to make money. A corporate 9 to 5 is not where I want to be. I've known this all my life because I've always said I want to work for myself. But this is when I guess that light finally just turned on. And that's when I thought I need to get my t-shirt business up and running because I need to start making my own income so I can quit and I can just do what I need to do. I felt so stuck at that job. I felt like I was wasting time. I would literally go there, sit for 8 hours, do a couple things for some people, and then leave. I felt like my time was being wasted. I hated being there. Even though the people that I worked with were really cool, upper management was not. Corporate policies suck. So that's really when I decided I need to do this. And I started doing it. I decided to start screen printing. And let me tell you that was a bad idea. But you know what? You live and you learn. The important thing is that I realized that screen printing wasn't for me and I moved on from it. And that's where my $500 investment came in. The $500 investment came in when I took a job. I was going to do it screen printing and I realized this isn't going to work. This job's not going to get done. So luckily it was one of my friends and I told him, look, I need a little bit more time. Some of my materials broke or I don't know what excuse I made. But the guy was like, yeah, it's cool. Don't worry about it. Just take another week. I just need my shirts. I was like, of course, I got you. Don't worry about it. So I started doing a bit more research. I started looking on YouTube and I started looking around to see what other options there were besides screen printing. And that's when I came up with heat transfer vinyl. And I thought this looks very easy. It looks a lot easier than screen printing, a lot quicker, a lot more accessible. Let's do it. So I found this silhouette Cameo on Amazon and they had a pretty good bundle with a bunch of different vinyls. I think at the time I got it for about $350 or something like that. I don't remember, or $400. And then I needed heat press. So I started looking around and unfortunately I don't have that heat press anymore, but I did end up getting a very small 12x10 heat press that was a swing away. I think it cost me less than $100, maybe $120 at most. I was able to get my customers or my friend's job done. I got all his shirts ready and he was happy with it. And the best part is that I learned that screen printing wasn't for me. but heat transfer vinyl was. And then after that, I started doing a bit more research. I started looking into sublimation. I started looking into white toner printing, DTG, and I stuck to heat transfer vinyl. For the most part, I was really just doing heat transfer vinyl, but little by little, I started expanding to all of these different methods when I started to realize they each have their own place. Heat transfer vinyl is not going to be the best for everything. Sublimation is not going to be the best for everything. Screen print transfers aren't going to be the best for everything, but they each have their own place in the business. And that's something that took me a while to learn. Now, before we do go ahead and continue, I also also want to let you all know that we reached 10,000 subscribers on this channel. And as a huge thank you to all of you, to help any one of you get started with your own t-shirt business, I'm going to be giving away 4 different products. I'm going to be giving away a 15 by 15 HTVRont manual heat press, an HTVRont tumbler press, a V4 hat press, and a roll of DTF transfers. So if you want any chance at winning any one of those products, it is going to be 4 different giveaways. You are going to need to be subscribed to this channel. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you comment at the end. I'm going to give you a few things that you need to comment down below. And you also need to be following me on Instagram. For that, it's Neko_Prince. Make sure you follow me on there, and make sure you check out this video all the way through. So after I realized heat transfer vinyl was for me, I started to message people on Instagram. I started looking for local businesses. I started looking for local artists, and I started telling them that I make t-shirts, and if you ever need anything, I'm here for you. I'll give you a free sample. I'll help you out. Just let me know what you need, and I would love to show you what we can do. And that actually worked. Cold calling, or cold messaging, I guess, on Instagram is really what started to bring in the most customers and the most loyal customers. But not just that, I also started advertising on places like different Facebook groups, Facebook Marketplace, and ultimately word of mouth got around. And as my t-shirt business was growing, I was getting more and more orders. At the same time, my grandfather was getting worse. So all of this stuff was going on at the same time. I would go visit my grandfather. I would talk to him about what I was doing. He would essentially encourage me to keep going. One thing that he always promised me was that whenever he won the lottery, he would buy me my own house. So that way I wouldn't have to have anything to worry about. And even though he never won the lottery, I told you the waterworks were going to come. So anyway, even though he never really won the lottery, he never won the lottery at all, he always promised me that he was going to help me get my house. And ultimately he did. So throughout this entire time, as I was starting my t-shirt business and getting everything done, one of the things I started doing was posting on TikTok. And I figured, you know what? A lot of people might really enjoy seeing how their products are made. I know I do. So I started posting the process of how I made products, how I made my Etsy orders, how I made my customers' orders, how I printed everything on TikTok. Surprisingly enough, it started getting a good amount of traction, except I was getting the wrong traction. Really, I wanted to be getting people that wanted to buy my products, because ultimately I did want to start my own brand while still doing custom work on the side. I started tagging my videos. I started adding the wrong hashtags. So I started tagging things like hashtag heat press, hashtag apparel decoration, screen print transfers, heat transfer vinyl, things like that, without realizing that the people that are looking to buy my products, they're not looking for these hashtags. They're not looking for any of these hashtags. They don't even know what heat transfer vinyl is, most likely, or a heat press. But instead, I started attracting viewers that wanted to learn the business. So I went with it. And that is one huge lesson that I want you all to take away from this video. Be like water, go with the flow, because you never know what can come your way and you might like it. I have always been a very shy person. Whenever I would get in a group project in class, I would say, I'll do all of the work. Don't worry about it. I just don't want to present. I'll hold the presentation board. Just don't have me talk. I'll do everything. Just don't have me talk. But look at me now, making videos on YouTube, making videos on TikTok, and ultimately making content creation my main career. None of this would have ever happened if I didn't start my t-shirt business and start creating content. I started creating content. I started attracting the different types of viewers that I didn't expect, people that wanted to start their businesses. So I went with it. And sure enough, the following kept growing. I used some of my IT background to learn some of the technicalities of some of the machines, be able to explain certain things a bit easier, for the regular person to be able to understand, especially when you're troubleshooting. The regular person, that makes me sound so bad. But your average Joes, people that don't really know too much about technology. That's one thing that I feel that I've always been really good at, which is explaining more complicated topics in an easier to understand way. And I kept making videos. I kept growing my TikTok. I decided I'm not going to be focused on my own brand, because that's not what's working for me. What's working for me is custom work and content. Eventually, as I started growing my TikTok, I started getting partnerships. So I started getting people or different companies asking me to review their heat transfer vinyl or just, certain accessories, things like that. But as my channel kept growing, I decided it's time to transition to YouTube. And when I transitioned to YouTube, that's when it really started to take off. When I transitioned to YouTube, that was right after the time when my grandfather passed away. And he was actually living right next to my parents with my grandmother. And their landlord was looking for somebody to take over that house. Now, luckily, in a place like South Florida, that landlord was actually very nice. And because my grandfather was there, he knew all of us, he knew my entire family. He said, you guys can come in here if you'd like to, and I'm only going to increase the rent by, a couple $100s, which compared to the average in that area, what we were paying there was phenomenal. I think we were paying about $1,800 when the average median home price for anywhere around there was about $3,000. So that in itself was a very, very big help. And that's where, for me, I guess my grandfather really did help hugely. I feel like that was a huge help. Obviously, it's what he would have wanted for us to be able to take over that and be able to grow what we're doing. And ultimately, end up here. But when I was starting my YouTube channel is right when I started moving into that house. So I started my YouTube channel, I started recording. I'm pretty sure you've seen some of my first videos where I have it in this little white room. That was my original studio, I guess, the room that I had dedicated for my content, for my business and everything. Then I transitioned to my grandfather's old room. That was his room where he would go pray. He would have all this stuff. That was his spot. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to go there. It's a bit bigger and it's special. I don't know, I guess I felt a connection to it. So I continued making videos for my YouTube channel, for this YouTube channel for Nickel Prints. I kept making my TikTok videos. Anything that I would do in terms of orders, I would record, I would make videos on it, and I would explain what I was doing. So that way people like you or anybody that's watching this video could get started with their own businesses. That was the ultimate goal of my YouTube channel, because when I first started, there was not a lot of information on how you can get started, especially not with anything other than screen printing. So I wanted to be able to provide that value and help anybody get started the easy way, I guess. I wanted to give them all of the different options. So I just continued with it. Lo and behold, my YouTube kept growing. After my YouTube started growing, I started gaining more partnerships. I landed a few different contracts. I'm pretty sure you guys have seen my TikTok and my YouTube, some of my past videos. I've worked with sponsors like FM Expressions, TKO Sales, Yazbek, Uninet, Xtool, and a bunch of others. All of these different partnerships helped me build better relationships, helped me grow my content, helped me grow my channels, until ultimately I realized, you know what? I think it's time for me to leave my job. I don't know if I'm making enough money right now to be able to justify, actually quitting my 9 to 5, but I am making enough money to just get on by. Talked to my wife about it, and she said, hey, if that's what you think, if you think you're ready, go for it. I'm not gonna lie to you, the craziest thing that really made me come to this decision to finally say I quit, my manager wanted me to step up. He wanted me to start getting into management. He wanted me to start taking over the calls, the weekly calls that they had, updating everything. That wasn't not my thing. I did not like talking to all of these different people, especially with the subject that I barely knew anything about. I didn't know anything about networking. I barely knew anything about IT and tech support. I just knew what I was doing. I had no interest in growing in that company. So that's when I decided, you know what? I'm doing this. I'm out. The very first day, I sat in my house and looked around and thought, what the hell am I doing? And I ate crap. I'm not gonna lie to you. I didn't do what I was supposed to do for like about a month and a half, 2 months. And then I realized I'm not doing anything. What am I doing? Why am I sitting here wasting time, wasting money? Orders weren't coming in because I wasn't marketing. Videos weren't getting done because I just wasn't doing it. I was just playing video games. And I thought, oh, okay, this isn't working for me. What's going on? So I figured I need some sort of structure. I need something to do. Just trying to focus on what I'm doing, just trying to focus on growing my t-shirt business isn't working the way I wanted it to. I guess because I just wasn't disciplined enough. But at the same time, I was thinking, I'm not making enough money to be able to be comfortable and just chill like I want to chill. So I thought I need to find a job. But I can find the job that I want to do. I said, I'm not going to get into IT. I'm going to look for marketing. Now, one of my past jobs actually had to do a little bit with marketing, kind of social media marketing. It wasn't too deep into it, so I kind of started looking into that. But then I figured YouTube is a huge thing. People make a lot of money off of YouTube, and there's companies out there that have their dedicated content creators. So let me look into content creation. Yeah, I'm still, of course, going to be doing my t-shirts because that is my passion. That's what I love doing. But I also fell in love with making videos. And that's when I thought, you know what? There's something here. And that's why I say go with the flow. Because if I hadn't actually started content creation, if I hadn't decided to make this change and try to get into YouTube, I would have never, ever ended up here. So I started looking on LinkedIn and I revised my resume. I still had IT on there, but it wasn't the main point. Instead, I put Nickel Prints and I put content creator. And I mentioned everything that I do on my YouTube channel and everything that I do on my TikTok channel and how I educate and how I break things down and review things and give advice. And that worked. And I was able to land a job as a content creator for this company called AutoDS. If you guys want to check it out, it's going to be down in the description below. But to this day, I'm still on there. And what I do there is I simply just teach the business of dropshipping. The fact that I'm able to work essentially on my own time is what I've been needing this entire time. So it's not like your typical 9 to 5 where you wake up, get to work at 8 o'clock, clock out at 5 o'clock, and that's it. And you do that Monday through Friday. Essentially, that's technically how it should be. But if I can't get to something, let's say this afternoon, then I could do it tomorrow or I could do it at night. If I need to take my kids to a doctor's appointment, or if I need to go to one of my son's plays at school. I can do it without having to ask people, hey, I need to take some time off. Is it okay to do this? I don't need to ask for permission. There's a few times where I do, because sometimes I might need to be in a meeting. For the most part, it's usually okay. I've never had any issues. The scheduling, like I said, is amazing. It works with whatever I want to do. It's not your typical 9 to 5. And that, I think, is what I've been looking for. That is what I've been striving for. The ability to be able to work on my own time. The ability to be able to do what I need to do if I need to do it. Again, if I can't get something done on Monday, I can do it on Tuesday or Wednesday, or even during the weekends, or even overnight, because pretty much as long as the work gets done, you're good. Now, of course, that's obviously not the case every single time. For the most part, I do sit down, get what I need to do done, and then move on to whatever else I need to do. But again, being able to work on this stuff essentially on my own time throughout the day has opened me up to being able to work on my business as well. So I've been able to a lot more comfortably work with my main, employer or my main contract, which is with AutoDS. But then I've also been able to work with some of my other contracts without overworking myself or without getting too insanely tired and having to stay up until 2 or 3 in the morning. Even though I do that sometimes still, because I'm a night owl and I like to overschedule a lot of things and I just like to give myself a lot of stuff to do. But the point is, I'm able to do something that I love. I love making videos. I love making these videos. This video that I'm making right now, I love making it, especially because I'm able to, pour myself out a little bit. I mean, this video is a little bit different than some of the other ones that you guys have seen, for sure. Again, this one's a bit more personal. This one's a bit more emotional for me. I like being able to share with all of you my personal journey, my struggles, and my successes, because I want to be able to motivate all of you to do the same thing. I want all of you to be able to get inspired by my videos. And I don't want you to think that it's not just that 23 or that 25-year-old guy that is making millions of dollars with their online business. That's not always the case. And I'm proof of that. I'm proof that you don't need to be driving around in a Lamborghini to be happy. My main goal, actually, you know what? If I could be driving around in a Lamborghini, I'd be a lot more happy. But that was not the goal. The goal was to be able to set myself up and to set my family up for long-term success and to be comfortable. I grew up struggling with money. My mom worked at a restaurant. My dad worked at a shipping company. And while I always had everything that I needed, thanks to my mom and my dad, they struggled. And I know they struggled because I could see it. And I don't want my kids to be able to see that. I don't want my kids to have to see us moving from one place to another because we can't afford it, or struggling to pay something, or not being able to be there for them at one of their plays because I have to be at work. That was my main goal from the beginning, and I can happily say that I have achieved it. So after landing the content creator position at AutoDS, after landing a couple of different contracts here and there, which allowed me to make some money, I was able to pay down some debt. And that's when me and my wife decided it's time. Because if we don't do it now, then we're probably gonna end up leaving Florida because it's just getting way too insanely expensive. So we decided, let's pull the trigger and let's just get it done. Let's go ahead and start looking for the house. And we found one, which is this one. Now let me show you a clip that's actually very dear to me. I recorded it and I didn't think I was ever actually gonna release it, but I just kept it there. And I think this video is the time to do it. And that is when I was leaving, or really just cleaning up my office in my old house where my grandfather was, or where his room was. So check it out. To start, I'm very sorry if the video quality here isn't the best, especially compared to my last few videos. Also, before I show you what I'm about to show you, I'm extremely sorry for the mess. It is very bad right now, but let's go. I'm leaving the office that I've been working in for the past 2 years. I'm really sorry for the mess. Moving has been absolutely hectic. I have way too many things in this tiny room, but we're definitely going in for an upgrade. Now, throughout this entire clip, I'm really just cleaning everything up, putting everything away, and then we're gonna be transitioning to the new studio, which is really my garage. So my garage, as you can see, started off as very plain. There was literally nothing in here. It was all white. And then slowly but surely, I made it into my own studio. I turned everything blue. And now that you've seen what it looked like at one point, let's go ahead and see what it looks like now. All right, so before we do go ahead and fully step inside and I show you everything, just so you know, my studio / office, it is a little bit messy. It also doubles, or I guess triples, as my garage. So there's a lot going on. But without further ado, my name is Mario with Nego Prince, and welcome to my crib. All right, so to start, the very first thing that we have is that crucifix. That is my grandfather's old crucifix. He had it with him as long as I can remember. And that was the first thing that I put up. That was the very first thing that I saw, and I thought, that's definitely gonna stay with me. Then of course we have my little nerd corner. I definitely always needed one of these. Got my little studio over here where I record all of my heat press videos and my Uninet videos. Then we just have a little bit of corner with a little bit of a mess. my little studio lights for all of my content production. One thing that I do want to do is right here, I want to put a really big Charizard or some sort of Pokemon rug. And over here, we actually have our giveaway items. So we have the Auto Tumbler Heat Press from HTVRont, the Vivor Hat Press, and the Manual Heat Press 15x15 Swing Away from HTVRont as well. These 3 products are being given away for the 10,000 subscriber giveaway, along with a roll of DTF transfers. And here we have another part of my recording studio, which is, pretty sure you've seen that before, the HTVRont AutoPress 2 and the Locklick iCraft cutter. This is actually what I've been using lately versus the Silhouette Cameo 4. Got a couple of other things here like my hat press, the tumbler press, my 3D printer that I really never used too much, my Silhouette Cameo 4, and my actual recording studio, also the one that I use for AutoDS. Now, ignore this part because that does look kind of messy, but if you look over here, it looks a lot more professional, it looks a lot cleaner, and yeah, this is pretty much where all the magic happens. So that's my story. That's how I was able to turn my initial $500 investment into my t-shirt business into my own house. Hopefully this video was inspirational to some of you. Hopefully it was able to help you maybe light that fire under your butt so you can actually get started. I know for me, being able to hear real life stories, from just regular people that were able to make it in one way, shape, or form or achieve some sort of goal, it's inspirational and it helps me stay motivated. That is what I really want to be able to push to all of you. Stay motivated and keep going. If it's something that you're passionate about, if it's something that you like, then do it. Continue it. Don't let failure set you back. Remember, in order to succeed, you're gonna need to fail. Sometimes, multiple times. And also, one more thing that I want you all to take away that I can't stress enough is go with the flow. If something just comes your way, if life throws you a curveball, go with it. You never know. It might end up being that home run that you hit. That was very cheesy. I'm not very good at metaphors or any of that stuff. Remember that we do have the 10,000 subscriber giveaway going on. And for that, the rules are super simple. All you have to do is make sure you like this video, comment down below one of your goals, something that you're aspiring to do, or one of the businesses that you want to start, or maybe what's holding you back. Just let me know what's going on. Hopefully it's something that you're able to push through easily and continue. And of course, also make sure that you subscribe. And you have to be following me also on Instagram. So make sure you follow me on there. Instagram is neko_prince. Do all of that for your chance to win a heat press, a tumbler press, a hat press, and a roll of DTF transfers. Huge thank you to everyone for watching, especially if you made it all the way to the end. As always, my name is Mario with Neko Prince. I wish you all nothing but the best in anything that you do. And I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.